Before Season 1 was even released, Amazon gave the green light to Season 2 of The Boys. And honestly, I completely understand that gamble after seeing the full season. It's solid. This is far and away one of the best comic book adaptations I've seen in a long time. Dare I say, this show, to me, is even better than the source material. But with a second season on the horizon, that means we have a lot of room for speculation, especially after that bombshell revelation in the finale. I'm Chris Carr, and today I'm talking to you about what to expect in Season 2 of Amazon's The Boys. Before we get to the suit bashing, I want to give a shout out to all of our supporters on Patreon, especially our super nerd sponsor of the day, Tyler Siegel. Thanks to true heroes like our dude Tyler, we're able to keep binging shows and making you content. If you want to chip in, head on over to our Patreon page and see if a donation tier works for you. We'll thank you with shout out, swag, and more. No money? Not a problem. Liking, sharing, and subscribing are awesome ways to show your support. Now let's talk about those boys. Spoiler warning! As I'll be recapping some of Season 1 and talking about where I think Season 2 is going based off of the comics, it seems pretty obvious that we'll be hanging out in spoiler territory. If you haven't finished all 8 episodes yet, or you don't want Season 2 ruined for you based off the comics, you might want to wait on watching this video. You've been warned.
Plus superheroes in the Vought family. We see a bright future ahead where there is a Vought hero in every town.
First and foremost, the gang is finally together, so we can expect a lot more of the crew working together to kick ass. Now that the boys are, well, the boys, we can enjoy them working as a team to take down superheroes. The comic immediately thrust us into that established relationship, and I'm excited to see more of their interactions as a unit.
You just want to kick back, drink a few Mai Tais, and let us do all the work, is that it?
You know, I managed to go my whole life without seeing someone die horribly, and now I'm up to about a half dozen, so I think I'm good.
Season 1 didn't just assemble our A-team, it also covered a lot of ground in its 8-episode arc. We learned of the female, aka Kimiko's past, and how she was one of many selected from fringe radical groups for Vought to douse with Compound V to create soup terrorists, triggering soups having a place in the American military, and that all soups of America have been created thanks to Compound V. A huge thrust of Season 2 will obviously focus on the aftermath of allowing superheroes into the ranks of the US military.
If they let us into the military, then this will never happen again. That is my solemn promise to you.
While we're talking about Compound V, Butcher forcibly injects Huey with the soup drug in the comics. So there definitely is the potential for yet another member of our hecky violent Spice Girls to become super-abled. We already know that Huey left off trying to save A-Train, who, as Starlight points out, will never stop hunting Huey so long as he's alive. Will this force Huey's hand in injecting himself? Perhaps Starlight chooses to give her boyfriend an upper hand. I doubt with the current rhetoric of the show that Billy would enhance his friend, but I think there's definitely room for someone to enhance Huey in an attempt to even the playing field between him and A-Train. The biggest shock of the show, however, was that Billy Butcher's wife Becca wasn't dead, but was in fact alive and raising a kid.
Becca. Oh. Mommy didn't tell you.
If you've read the comics or checked out my Crash Course video, you'll know that this is a very different direction from the comic. Homelander still raped Becca, and the series even threw in a take on the grisly superbirth, but that story was just a red herring. Becca appears to have been living in hiding, most likely with the help of Vought's higher-ups. This drastic shift from canon means that The Boys is probably going to steer a new course in Season 2. What I'm interested in is how this could affect Billy's crusade against soups. If his wife isn't dead, will he still approach the superhero problem with the same black and white attitude? Or will we see a kinder, gentler Butcher in the next season? After all, Becca's disappearance and assumed murder is what triggered Billy's actions.
I mean, you must have some rock-solid proof, right? That it was actually me who killed your wife. You must have that, right?
We can definitely anticipate Billy and Becca trying to navigate some form of a relationship. And I'm sure we'll see flashbacks out of the wahoo covering Becca's personal storyline to bring us all up to speed. I'm also interested in seeing how Homelander will adapt to parenthood, and how he'll spin having sired a product of rape and suit it to fit his brand.
I'm your father. We are a family.
Speaking of Homelander, Golden Boy chose to burn the eyes out of his handler and lover Stillwell, and then allow her body, and presumably her baby, to be blown to smithereens. There are a lot of potential outcomes here. One being that we'll see a more powerful, less regulated Seven in action. Another is that we'll see Stillwell's boss, Mr. Egger, step away from Florida 2 and have a more present, day-to-day role in what the Seven do. I personally feel like having Giancarlo Esposito of Breaking Bad fame take this role means that we will have a lot of Mr. Edgar gracing our screen. We've already had the 82nd floor alluded to ad nauseum, so I'm thinking we'll learn more about Vought's shady behind-the-scenes dealings and their grand plans on a global scale.
And now, we have villains all over the globe that only we can fight.
We also know, thanks to casting news, that Aya Cash of You're the Worst fame will be playing Stormfront in Season 2. Stormfront is basically the OG super in boys' mythology, having helped create the Nazi Party in Germany back in the 1930s. Thanks to a slow-to-age ability, Stormfront is still alive and well in present day and is, huge shocker here, a big ol' racist and leader of current neo-Nazi party, the Payback. Stormfront is a force to be reckoned with powers similar to that of Homelander. And Stormfront's based off of DC's Shazam to give you a better idea of what this character is capable of. What I'm looking forward to is seeing where Stormfront fits into this Amazon universe. Will Stormfront be taking up one of the vacant seats of the Seven? Challenging Homelander for dominance? A power struggle in the vacuum created by Stillwell's death could be really interesting to watch.
7 is down by 2. I just can't help noticing that it all started when you came along. Which makes me wonder, which one of us is next?
There have also been rumors circulating online that Season 2 will introduce more supes, such as the heavily featured Tech Knight. Tech Knight was actually mentioned in Season 1 of that support group, when a woman shared how she wished the hero had been more mindful of her spine.
After all, Tech Knight saved me. I just wish he'd been a little more gentle with my spine.
Tech Knight is a really interesting and challenging character to introduce. Based heavily on Bruce Wayne and Batman, Tech Knight is a prominent figure in the boys' universe who isn't superpowered, but an active supe thanks to tech. Now, why do I say challenging? Well, in the comics, TK has an insane sex drive. Like, DTF women, men, animals, inanimate objects, you name it, he's gonna try to bang it. This will be really interesting to see how the live action decides to adapt the character. We've already seen the violence and sex dialed down from the comic, and characters fleshed out to take them from evil for the sake of evil and shocking for the sake of shocking to having real perspective and agency. So I, for one, am definitely looking forward to how the show adapts and adds new players. It's a little hard.
Perfect, let's do that. Speaking out, we can all become stronger by listening. Okay. I realize that my behavior has caused Starlight a great deal of pain.
Now, here I want to add an additional spoiler warning. Seriously, I fought with producer Brett on including this because I really don't want to balls this up for folks who aren't familiar with the comic. You hear me? Abandon all viewing, all ye who've not read the comic and want to be surprised. Okay, you're still here? All right, let's do this. We go through all of Season 1 without learning pretty much anything about Black Noir, aside from him being strong, silent, and pretty great at playing piano. In the comic series, it's revealed that this super strong hero is actually a clone of Homelander that Vought created as a contingency plan should the Seven become a problem. Black Noir is engineered to be stronger than any of the Seven, and thus, the only sure bet for handling them. Black Noir was under strict orders to tail Homelander and be ready to assassinate him should Vought order to do so. Now, being trained to tail your target for years on end without getting the satisfaction of a kill could drive any well-meaning assassin insane. And boy howdy, is that exactly what happens to Black Noir. He becomes even more sadistic than Homelander. We learned that it was in fact Black Noir that raped Billy's wife, and that he's been framing Homelander for atrocious crimes for years. He ultimately kills Homelander, but Butcher gets his revenge by cracking his skull open with a crowbar and ripping out his brain. Now, I for one am interested to see how the long game of this soap opera evil twin / clone saga would play out. Will the show completely scrap this? Or will we learn that some of our scenes with Homelander have been in fact Black Noir? Let me know how you think the writer's going to adapt that part of the story. Now, something that people have brought to my attention, especially on Reddit, has been that there is a fly present throughout tons of scenes. Now, what a lot of people are speculating is that this fly shows up when people are, for lack of a better term, bullshit. The fly shows up to kind of be this omnipresent force showing that someone's lying in the scene. Do you guys think that's the case? Do you think it's just consequential? I would love to know if you think this fly ends up actually being a superhero, or you think this is just a thematic theme that shows up in the show. Let me know in the comments.
Okay, I think we have time for a few more.
Of course, these are just my thoughts on what could happen in Season 2. What I really want to know is what you think is going to happen. Hit me up in the comments section with your theories and your favorite moments from the show. For more videos, click to the left of my face, or check us out on Roku or Plex. Thanks again to our donors on Patreon, and thank you for watching. See you, Space Cowboy.